Y'all remember that commercial that went, "Try it, you'll like it," where some poor guy was strong-armed into eating something he didn't want and then had to go running for the Alka-Seltzer?
Try it, you'll like it. But what is try it, you'll like it? So I tried it. Thought I was gonna die.
Well, that's the commercial that inspired this video.
If you're a theater fan who loves a great cocktail, click that subscribe button because Broadway Barfly is the channel for you.
Hello folks, Rob Dreemeyer here. Welcome to Broadway Barfly. Recently, I counted up that between the videos and the social media posts, I've made close to 200 different cocktails since I started Broadway Barfly. Now, I chose to make most of those cocktails because they had interesting histories or they paired well with shows I wanted to tell you about, not because I had any expectation that I would like them. So I've come up with a list of 5 of those cocktails that I was pretty sure I was going to hate, and I'm going to tell you what I really thought of them. The first cocktail on my list is the 20th Century. It's a cocktail from the 1930s. It was created by a British bartender named C.A. Tuck. It was published in the Café Royal cocktail book and named for the famous train, the 20th Century Limited, that ran back and forth between New York City and Chicago. The cocktail has gin and Lillet Blanc and lemon juice, fine, but it also has creme de cacao. And I could not wrap my brain around this lemon and chocolate combination. I thought for sure it was going to taste like orange juice and toothpaste or something. But I committed to making the cocktail because it was the perfect pairing for a conversation about the musical On the 20th Century, which takes place on the 20th century. So the first time I tasted the cocktail, I have to say I didn't actually hate it, but I didn't really like it. I still couldn't quite make out what to do with lemon and chocolate. They sit on 2 different parts of your palate, so they don't really combine. It's like, oh, now I'm tasting lemon. Now I'm tasting chocolate. Now I'm tasting lemon. So it's just really weird. But I didn't give up on it. And after the video, I did go back and make it a couple times on a whim for myself. And I discovered that, first of all, you have to make it really, really cold. So I made it in a chilled tin and served it in a frosted cocktail glass. And I also played around a little bit with the proportions. I pulled back on the lemon juice because I found the printed recipe was a little too tart, sort of played up the chocolate a little more, and, not too bad in the end. And since then, I've made it several times for friends of mine. Sometimes when someone's over and they'll say, "Okay, Broadway Barfly, make me something I've never had," I'll pull out a 20th Century. I won't tell them what it is, but it's always fun to watch them kind of wrestle with that lemon and chocolate combination. Number 2 on my list is the Chartreuse Swizzle. It's a cocktail made by a bartender in San Francisco named Marcovaldo Dionysus, and it was his winning entry into a competition sponsored by Chartreuse, and it's now featured on their website as an official Chartreuse cocktail. I decided to do a video where I made a Chartreuse Swizzle as a follow-up to the video where I made Swamp Water, which is another Chartreuse cocktail, and I paired that with a conversation about the musical Once Upon a Mattress. Now, in general, I like Chartreuse, or at least I like cocktails that use Chartreuse. I like The Last Word, I love a Champs-Élysées, but both of those use only a very small amount. And I wasn't sure about the Chartreuse Swizzle because it uses chartreuse as its primary spirit, and it uses 1.5 ounces of it, which is an awful lot of chartreuse. The other ingredients are pineapple juice, lime juice, and falernum. And even though they're used in fairly small amounts, they really do their job at balancing out that chartreuse, and it comes together in this really nice cocktail. And I can totally see why it's considered a modern-day classic. Number 3 on the list is another modern cocktail created by a bartender named Jose Juice Miranda while he was working at WD-50, which, when it was open, was a very trendy restaurant by Wiley Dufresne here in New York City. I chose to make a Malta Fizz when I made a video celebrating the release for streaming of the film In the Heights. Now, for reasons I explained in that video, the Malta Fizz made the perfect pairing for that movie. But the Malta Fizz is made with Malta, which, if you don't know Malta, it's a really strange thing. It's very popular in Caribbean cultures. It's a carbonated malt drink, so it has some properties of beer, but it doesn't taste like beer and it's not alcoholic. It pours and looks a little bit like root beer, but it certainly doesn't taste like root beer. It's definitely an acquired taste. So the cocktail has Malta, and a raw egg yolk, which, I wasn't sure about that, and also some amber rum, simple syrup, and lime juice. It pours out this sort of milky orange color and has a little bit of a foamy head on it. I just was not sure what this was going to be, but boy, was I surprised. It had a really silky lusciousness to it. Now, that's not a word I use often or lightly, but it was luscious. And it had this really warm island spice quality to it. I thought it was just fantastic. Number 4 on the list is the daiquiri made with honey. There for a while, I was on this kick where I was making videos of cocktails featured in the film Anti-Mame. It's a favorite film of mine, and it's just loaded with cocktail references. One of those cocktails is the daiquiri made with honey, and very famously, Mame does not like it, and in this piece of just brilliant comic business, she flings it over her shoulder when nobody's looking. So I thought it would be fun to make a video and try out what it was that she didn't like. The cocktail I chose to make was an aged honey daiquiri that I found on the Difford's Guide. It was made with aged rum, honey syrup, and lime juice. Now, daiquiris really aren't my thing unless they're frozen and come with an umbrella and I'm by a pool or on a beach somewhere. And rum is never my go-to spirit. I don't hate it, but it's never going to be the first thing I choose. So I was not anticipating that this is a cocktail I would like. But I have to tell you, boy, was it good. And I think it was the aged rum that made all the difference. I used Havana Club 7-year. The honey syrup was the perfect sweetener to really enhance the rum. It was just a really great daiquiri. And I think if it had been served to Mame, she probably would have had a very different reaction. Before we get to number 5, I want to let you know that if any of these cocktails have piqued your interest, I do have links in the description below to all of the videos where I initially talked about these cocktails and demonstrated how they were made. So make sure to go back and check those out. If you're enjoying this video, please give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel and click that little notification bell, because I would love to have you back here and a part of our little Broadway Barfly family. Also, if you have a cocktail that you thought you were going to hate but it really surprised you, tell us about it in the comments below. Okay, on to number 5. Number 5 on the list is the Hanky Panky. It was created back in the 1920s by a woman named Ada Coleman, or Coley as she was known, when she was the head bartender at the American Bar at the Savoy Hotel in London. I was really excited to do a video about the Hanky Panky because the cocktail and the bar and the hotel are all just steeped in theatrical lore. But I was also a little nervous because I didn't think I was going to like the cocktail. It has gin and sweet vermouth, which is, common enough, but it also has Fernet Branca. Now, Fernet Branca is a bitter Italian liqueur, which is really one of these either you love it or hate it kind of things. If you've ever had it straight out of the bottle, it is some rough stuff. I mean, it tastes like you're drinking mentholatum. So I really wasn't sure what it would do to this cocktail, but I went ahead, I made the video, I tried the cocktail, and boy, was it good. I mean, that Fernet Branca just lifts it up, it gives it a punch, and that is some good stuff. I'll admit that I've made Hanky Pankies for myself many times since I've made that video. And not too long ago, I had a very special experience where I ordered one at the American Bar at the Savoy Hotel in London, where it was created. And drinking it there, it was like drinking liquid gold. And it really cemented this cocktail as maybe one of my top 3 favorites, which really does go to prove, try it, you'll like it. So there you have a list of 5 cocktails I really thought I was going to hate. But you know what? I didn't. Cheers.
If you enjoyed the video, why not give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends? Feel free to leave your comments and click that subscribe button because there's a lot more Broadway Barfly to come.